Hello, and welcome to Boring Science for Sleep, a quiet place where science becomes slow, soft, and easy to drift through. Tonight, we're going to gently explore the hidden human senses, not to learn everything, not to memorize complicated ideas, but simply to notice something that has been quietly happening inside you for your entire life. If you truly enjoy these calm journeys through the quieter corners of science, you're always welcome to like this video and subscribe, but only if it feels right for you. And if you're listening before bedtime, I'd love to know where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. It is always a quiet pleasure to imagine so many people in so many different places, slowly sharing the same peaceful moment. Now, dim the lights if you can. Let the room become just a little darker. Maybe there is the gentle hum of a fan somewhere nearby, or the distant sound of rain beyond the window, or perhaps only the comforting silence that settles at the end of a long day. There is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to remember. For the next little while, you don't have to hold on to anything at all. Just listen. If your thoughts begin to wander, let them wander. If sleep arrives before the story reaches its end, that is perfectly fine. In fact, that is exactly what these quiet journeys are for. Tonight, as your breathing slowly settles into its own gentle rhythm, we're going to discover that the world around you is far richer than it first appears. Not because the world changes, but because your body has been quietly noticing far more than you have ever realized. You have probably heard that humans possess 5 senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. They seem complete, almost comforting in their simplicity, like 5 familiar windows opening onto the world. But tonight, you may begin to notice that there are many more windows than anyone once imagined. Some are so quiet that you have never consciously looked through them. Some have been open since before you were born. Some continue their silent work every second of your life, asking for nothing, expecting nothing, gently helping you remain balanced, comfortable, aware, and alive. They are the hidden senses. And perhaps, as we slowly drift through them together, you may discover that you have never truly experienced the world with only 5 senses at all. So make yourself comfortable. Let your breathing become a little slower, and together, let's quietly step into a world that has been surrounding you all along. You probably don't spend much time wondering how many senses you truly have. It is one of those questions that seems to have already been answered long ago, quietly tucked away among childhood lessons and old memories from school. 5. The answer feels familiar. 5 senses. For more than 2,000 years, that simple idea traveled across generations, carried from teachers to students, from parents to children, becoming one of those rare pieces of knowledge that almost everyone accepts without much thought. Long ago, the Greek philosopher Aristotle described the world through 5 familiar gateways: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. It was a remarkably thoughtful idea for its time, offering a simple way to understand how humans experience the world around them. Even today, those 5 senses remain the first ones most people learn. And yet, the human body has always been quietly keeping a much larger secret. Imagine walking into a vast old library late at night. Only 5 lamps are switched on. Their warm light fills the room, and because they are the only lights you can see, it is easy to believe they are the only ones that exist. But slowly, as your eyes adjust to the darkness, you begin to notice tiny points of light scattered everywhere. Small lanterns hidden among the shelves. Some glow softly in distant corners. Others shine so gently that you almost miss them. They were never absent. They were simply quiet. Your body is much the same. The five familiar senses are like the brightest lamps, easy to notice, easy to describe. But beneath them, hidden within muscles, skin, joints, ears, lungs, heart, stomach, and countless other places, thousands upon thousands of tiny sensors have been quietly gathering information every moment of your life. They ask for no applause. They never interrupt your thoughts. Most of the time, they work so perfectly that you never realize they are there at all. Modern neuroscience has gradually revealed this hidden world. Instead of seeing the body as a collection of only five senses, scientists now understand it as an extraordinary network of many different sensory systems, each carefully watching over a different part of your experience. Some notice light, some notice sound. Others quietly measure pressure beneath your feet. Some gently monitor the stretching of your muscles as you reach for a cup without looking. Others follow the rhythm of your breathing, the fullness of your stomach, the warmth of your skin, the position of your head, the movement of your joints, even the slow beating of your own heart. It is almost as though your body is listening in every direction at once, not with ears, not with eyes, but with countless tiny observers, each devoted to a single quiet task. If you could somehow pause time for just 1 second and listen to every one of these hidden conversations, you might discover that your body is astonishingly busy. Tiny pressure sensors resting beneath your fingertips quietly notice the softness of a blanket. Warmth sensors gently compare the temperature of the air against your skin. Hidden stretch sensors inside your muscles softly report how far your arm has moved. Deep inside your inner ears, delicate structures quietly notice the smallest turn of your head, helping you remain balanced without asking you to think about it. Within your chest, gentle signals rise and fall with every breath. Inside your heart, tiny changes in rhythm are quietly shared with your brain. Far below your conscious awareness, your stomach, your lungs, your joints, your muscles, and your skin are all participating in an endless conversation. It is a conversation without words, no voices, no sentences, only countless tiny messages flowing silently through your nervous system, each carrying a simple piece of information about the world around you or the world within you. Perhaps the most remarkable part is that almost none of this reaches your conscious mind. If every one of these signals demanded your attention, even the smallest movement would become exhausting. You would need to think about every finger, every step, every breath, every swallow, every shift in balance. Instead, your brain quietly gathers these countless messages, gently arranging them into something that feels effortless. The result is the simple feeling that you are here, comfortably resting, breathing, listening, aware. It feels so natural that it is easy to believe nothing extraordinary is happening at all. But beneath that calm surface, an orchestra of hidden senses continues its gentle performance, each one playing its own quiet note with perfect patience. Like musicians who have rehearsed together for an entire lifetime, they rarely compete. They support one another. They listen to one another. They create something far greater than any one instrument could produce alone. And perhaps that is why we seldom notice them. The most beautiful performances are often the ones that feel completely effortless. As you continue to rest, allowing your breathing to become just a little slower, it may begin to feel comforting to imagine these countless tiny senses quietly working together, asking for nothing in return, faithfully watching over every movement, every breath, and every peaceful moment, while somewhere a little deeper inside, another hidden layer of this silent conversation has already been waiting patiently to be discovered. If you have ever lived in a quiet house during the early hours of the morning, you may remember a curious feeling. Everything appears perfectly still. No voices, no footsteps, no obvious movement. And yet, the house is never truly silent. A clock continues its patient ticking somewhere in another room. Wood gently expands and settles with the changing temperature. The refrigerator hums softly in the background. Outside, leaves move with the breeze, even if no one is watching. The house seems peaceful precisely because so many small things continue happening without asking for your attention. Your body is very much like that quiet house. At this very moment, while you simply listen to these words, an extraordinary number of tiny events are unfolding inside you. Your heart continues its steady rhythm. Your lungs gently welcome fresh air before letting it drift away again. Your stomach quietly continues its work, whether it is comfortably full or patiently waiting for the next meal. Your muscles make countless tiny adjustments, preventing your head from slowly tipping forward as you relax. Your skin notices the coolness of the room, the softness of your clothes, the faint pressure where your body rests against the chair or the bed. Almost none of these gentle events ask for your attention, and perhaps that is one of the greatest gifts your nervous system has ever given you. Imagine for just a moment that every tiny signal inside your body suddenly became as loud as your thoughts. You would notice every heartbeat, every swallow, every breath, every slight stretch in every finger, every shift of pressure beneath your feet, every small movement of your eyes. It would feel less like living and more like trying to conduct thousands of conversations all at once. Instead, your brain quietly performs a remarkable act of kindness. It listens to nearly everything, while allowing you to notice only what truly matters in the moment. Scientists sometimes describe this as the nervous system filtering information, but you might imagine something much gentler. Picture an endless river carrying millions of tiny paper boats. Each boat holds a simple message. The air feels cool. Your shoulder has moved a little. Your stomach has become slightly emptier. Your breathing has slowed. Your heartbeat has changed ever so gently. Your left foot is carrying a little more weight than your right. One by one, these little boats drift toward the brain. Some are quietly acknowledged before continuing downstream. Others are carefully stored away without interrupting your thoughts. Only a few ever reach the calm surface of your awareness. Most continue their journey in peaceful silence. In many ways, your body is less like a machine and more like a community. Every part quietly looks after every other part. Your skin keeps watch over the world outside. Your muscles quietly report their movements. Your joints gently describe the position of your limbs. Your lungs softly mention each breath. Your heart shares its steady rhythm. Together they form an enormous conversation that has been taking place every second since before you opened your eyes for the very first time. The remarkable thing is that these messages all speak different languages. A gentle touch against your hand begins as a tiny change in pressure. Warm sunlight resting on your skin begins as a small change in temperature. The stretching of a muscle begins as a delicate change in shape. A full stomach begins as a quiet feeling of expansion. None of these are thoughts. None of them are words. Each one begins as nothing more than a tiny physical change somewhere inside or outside your body. Hidden within your skin, muscles, joints, and organs are countless little sensors, each designed to notice one particular kind of change. When one of these sensors detects something important, it quietly transforms that change into a gentle electrical message that your nervous system can understand. It is rather like translating many different languages into one shared conversation. Warmth, pressure, movement, stretching. balance. They all arrive at the brain in the same remarkable form. Tiny traveling signals, moving patiently along the body's vast network of nerves. You never need to imagine these signals as bright flashes or dramatic bursts of energy. Instead, imagine them as quiet travelers, walking along countless winding paths through a peaceful forest. Some paths are very short. Others travel astonishing distances, beginning in your toes before slowly making their way upward through your legs, your back, and eventually toward your brain. Every moment, millions of these gentle travelers are already on their way. Some arrive. Others begin their journey. The flow never truly stops. And because this silent exchange never stops, your body is able to maintain something wonderfully comforting, a quiet sense of balance. Not balance as in standing upright, although that is certainly part of it. A deeper kind of balance. The balance that allows your body temperature to remain comfortable. The balance that helps your breathing adapt without asking you to think about it. The balance that quietly adjusts your heartbeat when you stand, when you lie down, or when you slowly drift towards sleep. Scientists have given this quiet process a rather formal name. They call it homeostasis. But perhaps there is a softer way to imagine it. You might simply think of it as your body's endless effort to keep everything peacefully steady. Like a careful gardener tending a beautiful garden, your body is constantly making tiny adjustments. A little more here, a little less there. Never hurried, never dramatic, only patient, gentle care. The most remarkable part is that this quiet work continues whether you notice it or not. It continues while you read, while you dream, while you laugh with friends, while you sit beside a window watching the rain. Even while you sleep, these hidden conversations never come to an end. Your senses do not fall asleep simply because you do. Instead, they become faithful night watch keepers, quietly continuing their work beneath the surface of your awareness. And perhaps there is something deeply comforting about that thought. Long after your conscious mind has drifted into dreams, countless tiny caretakers remain awake, listening for every small change, gently adjusting, quietly protecting, carefully maintaining the peaceful rhythm that allows tomorrow to arrive. As your breathing becomes slower once again, you may begin to notice that these hidden senses are not separate from one another at all. They are more like old friends, quietly exchanging gentle whispers across the landscape of your body, each one adding a small piece to a much larger picture. Some notice the world touching you. Others notice the world moving around you. And still others quietly observe something even more intimate, the ever-changing world that exists entirely within you. A place where every heartbeat, every breath, and every quiet rhythm becomes part of the remarkable story of simply being alive. Long before you ever learned to describe the world with words, you already knew what it felt like. You knew the warmth of another person's arms, the softness of a blanket, the smoothness of polished wood, the cool surface of a window on a quiet morning. Before language, before memory, and even before your first clear thoughts began to form, your skin was already listening. It is easy to think of touch as one simple sense. After all, we usually describe it with a single word, touch. But your skin tells a very different story. Imagine standing in a gentle spring rain. Each tiny raindrop lands on your skin, not all at once, but one after another. Some fall across your shoulders. Others rest softly on your hands. A few land on your face before slowly rolling downward. Each droplet carries its own quiet message. Together they create the peaceful feeling of standing beneath the rain. Your skin works in much the same way. Hidden beneath its surface are countless tiny listeners, each patiently waiting for a different kind of change. Some quietly notice the lightest brush against your arm. Some gently measure pressure when your hand rests upon a table. Others respond to tiny vibrations, so delicate that you may never consciously notice them. Still others quietly observe when your skin stretches ever so slightly as you reach, turn, or smile. Rather than one sense called touch, your body is really listening through an entire community of gentle observers. Scientists have given many of these tiny listeners different names. Some are known as pressure sensors. Others are especially sensitive to vibration. Some respond best to gentle movement across the skin. But you never need to remember those names to appreciate what they quietly accomplish. It is enough to imagine thousands of tiny caretakers, each devoted to one small task, patiently working together. Perhaps that is one of the quiet miracles of the human body. No single sensor understands the whole picture. Each notices only one small detail. One feels a little pressure. Another notices a tiny movement. Another quietly reports a faint vibration. Your brain gently gathers all of these tiny observations and weaves them together into one seamless experience. The result feels wonderfully simple. You touch a stone. You pet a sleeping cat. You hold someone's hand. You pull a blanket a little closer on a cool evening. It all feels effortless. Yet beneath that effortless feeling lies an astonishing amount of quiet cooperation. You might imagine thousands of invisible threads slowly being woven together into a single soft blanket. No individual thread creates the blanket by itself. Only together do they become something complete. Your sense of touch is woven in exactly that way. This is also why different parts of your body seem to experience the world differently. If you close your eyes and gently touch the tip of one finger against the palm of your other hand, the sensation feels remarkably clear. You can almost picture the exact place where your fingers meet. Now imagine the same gentle touch resting on the middle of your back. The feeling is still there, but it is softer, less precise, a little more mysterious. It is not because your back is unable to feel. Far from it. Instead, different parts of your skin contain different numbers of these tiny listeners. Your fingertips are among the busiest neighborhoods in your entire body. Countless small sensors quietly work together there, allowing you to fasten tiny buttons, write with a pencil, turn the pages of a book, or gently pick up a fragile flower without crushing it. Your back, on the other hand, tells a broader story. It notices contact. It notices pressure. It notices warmth. But it does not need to describe every tiny detail with the same remarkable precision. Each part of your body has quietly adapted to the work it performs every day. As you grow older, your brain gradually learns how to interpret these countless messages with extraordinary skill. When you reach into your pocket, you may instantly recognize a familiar key without ever looking at it. You can tell the difference between smooth glass and rough stone with only your fingertips. You know whether a favorite sweater is made from soft wool or cool cotton after only the briefest touch. The remarkable thing is that none of these objects carry labels. The sweater never whispers that it is soft. The stone never announces that it is rough. Those experiences are gently created inside your own nervous system. The outside world simply offers tiny changes in pressure, movement, and texture. Your hidden sensors quietly notice those changes. Then your brain transforms them into the rich experience you simply call touch. It is almost like listening to an orchestra. No single violin creates the entire piece of music. No single flute carries every melody. Each instrument contributes its own gentle voice. Only together does the music appear. Your skin performs a very similar symphony every waking moment. Perhaps one of the most comforting examples of this quiet symphony happens every evening. Imagine lying beneath a warm blanket after a long day. At first, you clearly notice the gentle weight resting across your body, the softness against your arms, the coolness of the sheets, the slight pressure beneath your shoulders. But after only a few peaceful minutes, something curious begins to happen. The blanket has not disappeared, the bed has not changed, and yet you gradually stop paying attention to these sensations. Your hidden touch sensors continue their quiet work exactly as before. The difference is that your brain has decided these familiar signals no longer require your attention. Nothing has changed, except where your awareness chooses to rest. This quiet ability is one of the reasons your mind can remain peaceful instead of overwhelmed. If every familiar sensation remained equally important forever, your thoughts would become crowded with endless details. Instead, your nervous system gently whispers, "You already know this blanket is here. You already know you are safe. There is nothing new to worry about." And so your attention drifts elsewhere, leaving countless tiny sensors to continue their patient work in silence. Perhaps there is something deeply reassuring about realizing that even now, while you simply breathe and listen, your skin continues its endless gentle handshake with the world. It quietly notices the air surrounding you, the fabric resting against you, the surface supporting your body, the peaceful stillness of the room. Thousands upon thousands of tiny listeners remain faithfully awake, each contributing one small note to the beautiful symphony of touch. And among all of those gentle conversations, there are two especially quiet messengers that deserve a little more attention, because they do not simply tell you what the world feels like. They gently tell you whether the world feels warm or cool, comfortable or cold, inviting you to notice another peaceful language your body has been speaking all along. Perhaps one of the most comforting feelings in life is neither seeing nor hearing. It is warmth, the warmth of sunlight slowly spreading across your face on a peaceful morning, the warmth of a favorite blanket after a long day, the comforting feeling of wrapping your hands around a warm cup while rain quietly taps against a nearby window. Warmth has a remarkable way of making the world feel safe. Cold, too, tells its own quiet story. A cool breeze drifting through an open window, fresh morning air gently touching your cheeks, the crisp feeling of cool sheets before they slowly become warm as you settle into bed. Neither warmth nor cold is simply something happening outside you. They are gentle conversations taking place between your body and the world. Hidden beneath your skin are countless tiny sensors, each patiently listening for small changes in temperature. Some quietly notice when the world becomes warmer. Others gently detect the arrival of cool air. Together, they create a remarkably detailed picture of the environment surrounding you. You rarely notice them working. You simply know that the tea feels warm, the snow feels cold, the evening air feels refreshing. These tiny temperature sensors never argue. They never rush. Each quietly reports one small piece of information before allowing your brain to gently weave those countless observations into a single peaceful experience. Imagine walking through a beautiful garden as the seasons slowly change. In spring, tiny flowers begin to bloom. During summer, warm sunlight settles over the leaves. Autumn brings cooler winds that softly rustle the trees. Winter arrives with crisp air and quiet mornings. The garden changes little by little, never all at once. Your skin experiences temperature in much the same gentle way. It is constantly noticing small changes rather than dramatic ones. A sleeve pushed slightly higher, a blanket pulled gently closer, a cloud passing across the sun, the cool side of a pillow becoming warm beneath your head. Every small change becomes another quiet message. Perhaps this explains why comfort is rarely about reaching one perfect temperature. Instead, comfort often comes from gentle balance. Not too warm, not too cool, just enough for your body to quietly settle. Deep inside your brain is a small region that patiently watches over this balance every hour of every day. Scientists call this area the hypothalamus. Its name may sound unfamiliar, but its purpose is wonderfully simple. You might imagine it as the quiet caretaker of a peaceful home. It never sleeps completely. It never complains. It simply notices when the house becomes a little warmer or a little cooler than it should be. If the air grows chilly, it quietly encourages your body to conserve warmth. If the day becomes hot, it gently begins releasing heat, helping you cool down without asking you to think about it. Most of these adjustments happen so naturally that you never notice them at all. You simply continue living your day, and yet behind every comfortable afternoon and every peaceful night is an extraordinary amount of quiet work. Your body is constantly making tiny adjustments, a little more warmth here, a little less there, a slightly deeper breath, a gentle widening of tiny blood vessels beneath your skin, a little more warmth carried toward your hands, a little less escaping into the cool evening air. Nothing dramatic, only countless gentle corrections, each almost too small to notice by itself. Together, they create something remarkable. Stability. Perhaps you have noticed how different parts of your body sometimes tell different stories. Your hands may feel cool, while your shoulders remain warm. Your feet may search for the comforting warmth beneath the blankets, while your face enjoys the cool night air. Your body does not simply measure one single temperature. Instead, countless tiny weather stations, scattered across your skin, quietly report what each region is experiencing. Your brain patiently gathers these reports before deciding how best to keep everything peacefully balanced. It is a little like listening to hundreds of gentle voices, each describing the weather in a different part of the same beautiful country. One whispers, "It is a little cooler here." Another quietly says, "The sunlight is warm." A third simply reports, "Everything feels comfortable." Together they form a complete picture. No single voice tells the whole story. There is another curious quality to temperature that many people have experienced without ever thinking much about it. Warmth often changes the way we feel emotionally. A warm room can feel welcoming. A warm meal often brings comfort. Holding another person's warm hand can quietly ease feelings of loneliness. Scientists continue exploring why these connections exist, but it seems that the parts of the brain that understand temperature also communicate closely with the parts that shape emotion and memory. Perhaps this is why certain temperatures become attached to some of our oldest memories. The warmth of sunlight during childhood summers, the cool air of early autumn mornings, the gentle heat of soup shared with family, the cool side of a pillow during a restless night. Temperature quietly becomes part of the stories we remember. As evening slowly arrives, this hidden sense begins another important task. Your body gently prepares for sleep. Without asking permission, it begins making small adjustments. Your core body temperature slowly becomes a little lower. Warmth gradually moves toward your hands and feet. The quiet balance inside your body begins shifting toward rest. It is not a sudden switch. It is more like watching daylight slowly fade into twilight, almost too gradual to notice, yet unmistakably moving toward night. Even now, if you are listening beneath a blanket, your hidden temperature sensors are continuing their endless conversation. They quietly notice the softness of the fabric, the warmth gathering beneath it, the cooler air beyond its edges. Your brain gently reads every one of those tiny messages before making another peaceful adjustment. Nothing about this process requires your attention. You are free simply to breathe, to listen, to drift, because your hidden caretakers never stop their patient work. Perhaps there is something deeply reassuring in realizing that while your thoughts may wander from one idea to another, your body never loses its quiet focus. It continues watching over you with remarkable patience, listening for warmth, listening for coolness, listening for balance, never asking to be noticed, only quietly helping you remain comfortable enough to rest. And among these countless gentle messages, there is another kind that feels very different from warmth or comfort. It does not quietly invite your attention. Instead, it asks for it immediately, not to disturb your peace, but to protect it. It is one of the oldest and most faithful companions the human body has ever known, a hidden sense whose purpose is not comfort, but care. It is the quiet guardian we simply call pain. There is one hidden sense that most people wish they could live without. And yet, if it quietly disappeared, life would become far more dangerous than we often imagine. It is the sense we simply call pain. The word itself can feel heavy. It brings to mind scraped knees from childhood, headaches after long days, sore muscles after unfamiliar exercise, or the sharp surprise of touching something far too hot. Because pain is often unpleasant, it is easy to think of it as the body's way of punishing us. But your body has never been interested in punishment. It has always been interested in protection. Imagine living in a small wooden cottage deep within a peaceful forest. On a quiet evening, everything seems calm. A fire crackles softly in the fireplace. The wind gently moves through the trees. The house feels warm and safe. Now imagine a tiny wisp of smoke begins rising from somewhere you cannot yet see. Before the fire becomes dangerous, before the flames spread, a smoke alarm quietly sounds. The alarm is not the problem. The alarm is the reason the problem can be solved. Pain serves a remarkably similar purpose. It is less like the fire itself, and much more like the gentle alarm that says, "Please pay attention. Something here may need your care." Hidden throughout your skin, your muscles, your joints, and many other parts of your body are tiny danger sensors. Unlike the quiet listeners we explored earlier, these special sensors are not interested in soft blankets or gentle breezes. Instead, they patiently watch for experiences that could threaten the body. Too much pressure, extreme heat, extreme cold, sharp edges, sudden stretching, anything that might cause harm. Scientists have given these remarkable guardians a formal name. They are called nociceptors. But you may simply think of them as tiny danger sensors, patiently standing watch throughout your body. Most days, they remain wonderfully quiet. They have no desire to interrupt your life. Only when something truly demands attention do they begin sending their careful messages toward the brain. One of the remarkable things about pain is that these tiny danger sensors do not create the feeling of pain by themselves. Instead, they simply report what they have noticed. The experience we call pain is gently assembled inside the brain. At first, this idea may seem surprising. After all, when you accidentally bump your elbow against the corner of a table, it certainly feels as though the pain lives entirely inside your arm. But your arm is really sending information. Your brain is the place where those messages are carefully interpreted. You might imagine receiving a handwritten letter from a trusted friend. The envelope arrives quietly at your door. Inside is important news. The letter itself does not create your emotions. It simply carries information. Your understanding comes only after you have gently read what it says. Pain works in much the same way. Your body sends messages. Your brain patiently reads them. Then, using everything it already knows about your body and your surroundings, it decides how strongly you should respond. This explains something that has puzzled people for generations. Pain and injury are not always exactly the same thing. Sometimes a very small injury can feel surprisingly painful. At other times, a much larger injury may hardly be noticed at first. Imagine a runner crossing the finish line after a long race. Only after stopping do they suddenly notice an aching ankle. Or imagine someone rushing to help another person during an emergency. Hours later, they discover a deep cut they never realized was there. The injury existed all along, but in that moment, the brain quietly decided that something else was even more important. Protection is not always about making pain louder. Sometimes it is about making it wait. Perhaps this tells us something beautiful about the nervous system. It is not simply reacting. It is constantly making thoughtful decisions, always asking, what will best protect this person right now? For most of us, pain appears only briefly. A small cut heals. A bruise slowly fades. Sore muscles recover after a day or two. This is often called acute pain. You might think of it as a caring visitor. It arrives. It delivers an important message. Then, once its work is finished, it quietly leaves. But sometimes, the story becomes more complicated. Occasionally, pain continues long after the original injury has healed. This is known as chronic pain. Scientists continue working to understand exactly why this happens. What they have learned is both fascinating and deeply compassionate. Sometimes the nervous system itself becomes unusually sensitive. Imagine a smoke alarm that has become so careful that even a little steam from a warm shower causes it to sound. The alarm is not broken because it wants to cause trouble. It is simply trying very hard to keep the house safe. In a similar way, a nervous system living with chronic pain may become extra cautious. Its protective instincts remain active even after the original danger has passed. Understanding this has changed the way many doctors and researchers think about pain. Instead of seeing it as an enemy, they increasingly view it as an overprotective guardian. Still caring, still watching, simply finding it difficult to relax. There is another remarkable example that gently reminds us how closely pain and the brain work together. Some people who have lost an arm or a leg continue to feel sensations coming from the missing limb. Sometimes, they even experience pain there. This experience is known as phantom pain. At first, it sounds almost impossible. How can something that is no longer there continue to hurt? The answer seems to lie not within the missing limb itself, but within the brain's remarkable map of the body. That quiet map does not disappear overnight. It remembers. It continues, expecting familiar signals. Sometimes those expectations become sensations. Later, we will explore this extraordinary phenomenon more deeply. For now, it is enough to notice that pain is far more than a simple reaction. It is a conversation, a careful interpretation, a protective story told by the brain using messages gathered from throughout the body. Perhaps this changes the way we think about pain, not as something cruel, not as something that exists only to interrupt peaceful moments, but as one of the oldest acts of kindness evolution has ever given us. A faithful guardian, standing quietly beside the path. A lighthouse whose gentle beam appears only when hidden rocks lie ahead. Most of the time you never notice its presence, and that may be the greatest gift of all. Because when the guardian is silent, you are free to walk, to breathe, to rest, and to simply enjoy the quiet experience of being alive. As you continue listening, perhaps you can imagine this hidden guardian slowly stepping back into the peaceful background, allowing another remarkable mystery to emerge. For your body does not simply protect itself, it also knows exactly where it is, even in complete darkness, even with your eyes gently closed, guided by another hidden sense that has been quietly accompanying every movement since the very beginning of your life. Have you ever reached for a glass of water in the middle of the night without turning on a light? Perhaps your room was almost completely dark. Your eyes could offer very little help, and yet somehow your hand knew where to go. It lifted gently from the bed. Your arm moved through the darkness. Your fingers opened at just the right moment. Without searching for very long, they quietly found the glass. Moments like these happen so often that they almost disappear into ordinary life. You scratch your nose without watching your hand. You cross one leg over the other without thinking. You climb familiar stairs while carrying a conversation. You reach into your pocket and find your keys. You roll over in bed while half asleep. All of these movements feel wonderfully effortless. Because they are effortless, we rarely stop to ask an important question. How does your body know where it is? Not where you are in a city, not where you are in a room, but where your left hand is, where your right foot is, where your shoulders are resting, where your head is gently tilted. Even now, without opening your eyes, you probably know whether your arms are folded or resting comfortably by your side. You know whether your knees are bent or stretched out. You know whether your head is turned slightly to the left or gently facing upward. Your eyes did not tell you these things. Something much quieter did. Scientists call this remarkable hidden ability proprioception. It is a long word, but behind it lies a beautifully simple idea. You might think of it as your body's quiet sense of itself. It is the gentle awareness that allows you to know where your body is, even in complete darkness. Imagine standing beneath a clear night sky. Above you stretches a vast collection of stars. At first, they seem scattered randomly across the darkness. But slowly, familiar patterns begin to appear. You recognize a constellation. Another follows. Soon, the entire sky feels organized, even though nothing has actually changed. Your brain keeps a similar kind of map, not of stars, but of you. Every arm, every finger, every shoulder, every knee, every toe. Together they form a quiet constellation that your brain patiently follows every second of every day. This invisible map is constantly being updated. As you lift one hand, the map changes. As you turn your head, the map changes again. When you stretch your legs beneath a blanket, the map quietly stretches with you. Nothing about this requires your attention. The updates happen almost faster than thought itself. Of course, your brain cannot create this map alone. It depends upon countless tiny sensors hidden throughout your muscles, your joints, and the tissues connecting them together. These gentle sensors quietly notice how much each muscle has lengthened or shortened. They softly detect the angle of a joint. They carefully observe the changing position of your limbs. Each sends only a tiny piece of information. My arm has moved a little. My knee is bending. My shoulder has rotated slightly. Individually, these messages seem almost insignificant. Together, they create something extraordinary. A living map that is constantly redrawing itself. Imagine thousands of tiny surveyors walking across a peaceful landscape. No single surveyor sees the whole country. Each quietly measures only a very small area. One notices a gentle hill. Another marks a winding river. Another carefully records the edge of a forest. When all their observations are brought together, an accurate map slowly appears. Your body works in much the same way. Each tiny sensor contributes only a single observation. Your brain gently gathers them all into one seamless picture. Because this picture is constantly being refreshed, movement feels wonderfully smooth. You do not have to stop and wonder where your elbow has gone. You never need to search for your own feet before taking a step. Your body already knows. Perhaps one of the most beautiful examples of this hidden sense appears while dancing. Watch an experienced dancer moving slowly across a stage. Their arms float gracefully through the air. Their shoulders remain relaxed. Each foot lands almost effortlessly. The movement appears elegant, precisely because thousands of hidden adjustments are taking place every second. The dancer is not consciously calculating every angle. Their hidden body map quietly guides them, allowing countless tiny corrections before they are ever needed. The same quiet miracle happens when a child learns to walk. At first, every movement is uncertain. The body sways, the feet wander. Balance comes and goes. Slowly, through thousands of gentle attempts, the brain builds a richer and more accurate map of the body. Every stumble becomes another lesson. Every successful step quietly strengthens the hidden conversation between muscles, joints, and brain. Long before children understand words like balance or coordination, their nervous system is patiently learning the geography of its own body. Even now, while you simply listen, your own hidden map continues changing. Perhaps you have shifted your shoulders slightly. Perhaps your breathing has gently lifted your chest. Perhaps one foot has relaxed a little deeper into the mattress or the floor. Your brain has quietly noticed every one of these changes, not because it wishes to interrupt your peaceful thoughts, but because knowing where your body is allows every movement to remain gentle, safe, and beautifully coordinated. Another quiet helper works closely beside this hidden map. Nestled beneath the larger folds of the brain is a smaller structure that rarely receives much attention. Scientists call it the cerebellum. Rather than imagining it as a complicated piece of anatomy, you might picture it as a patient dance instructor. It rarely takes the spotlight. It never asks for applause. Instead, it quietly watches every movement, making tiny refinements almost too small to notice. A slightly smoother reach, a steadier step, a softer landing, a gentler turn of the head. Most of the time, its quiet guidance remains completely invisible. And perhaps that is exactly why movement feels so natural. The greatest helpers are often the ones we never notice. As your breathing continues its slow, comfortable rhythm, you might imagine this hidden map glowing softly within you, like a constellation seen through a peaceful night sky. Every quiet movement adds another point of light. Every gentle stretch redraws another invisible pathway. Without effort, without hurry, without asking for your attention. And although this hidden map quietly knows where every part of your body is, it still depends upon thousands of even smaller caretakers hidden deep inside your muscles themselves. Tiny observers that spend every moment measuring stretching, relaxing, and gentle tension, faithfully helping every movement remain smooth, long before you ever become aware that they are there. If the hidden map of your body is like a beautiful constellation glowing softly in the night sky, then there must also be countless tiny observers quietly updating that map every moment. Otherwise, how could it possibly remain so accurate? Imagine picking up a delicate porcelain cup. Without thinking about it, your fingers gently tighten around it. Not too firmly, not too loosely, just enough. Now imagine lifting a heavy suitcase. Almost instantly, your grip becomes stronger. Your arms prepare differently. Your shoulders quietly adjust. Your posture shifts ever so slightly before the weight has even fully settled into your hands. It all feels wonderfully natural. So natural, in fact, that it is easy to forget your muscles are doing far more than simply pulling on your bones. They are constantly measuring themselves. Every second, even now while you are resting, your muscles are quietly asking gentle questions. How much have I stretched? How much force am I creating? Has the body shifted a little? Should I relax? Should I become just a little firmer? Hidden deep inside every muscle are tiny stretch sensors that patiently notice even the smallest changes in length. As one muscle slowly becomes longer, these quiet observers gently report the change. As another muscle shortens, they quietly notice that as well. Scientists eventually gave these remarkable little sensors a name. They are called muscle spindles. But perhaps it is easier to imagine them as tiny caretakers quietly living inside each muscle, watching over every gentle stretch without ever asking for recognition. Nearby, another group of equally patient observers performs a different task. Instead of measuring how long a muscle has become, they quietly notice how much force it is creating. They ask different questions. Is the pull becoming stronger? Is it becoming gentler? Could too much force cause harm? Scientists call these tiny force sensors Golgi tendon organs, although you may simply picture them as careful guardians standing where muscles meet tendons, quietly making sure every movement remains safe. Neither group works alone. Instead, they spend every moment quietly sharing information with the brain. One whispers, "The muscle is becoming longer." Another softly replies, "The force is increasing." Together, they help create movements that feel remarkably smooth. Imagine a violinist slowly tuning a beautiful instrument before a concert. Each string is adjusted ever so slightly. A tiny turn here, another tiny turn there. Nothing dramatic, only countless gentle refinements until every note sounds just right. Your muscles quietly perform this same kind of tuning every moment of your life. Tiny adjustments, barely noticeable, yet together they create movements that feel graceful instead of awkward. Perhaps nowhere is this quiet cooperation easier to appreciate than when something unexpected happens. Imagine stepping onto a path where the ground suddenly becomes softer than you expected. For a brief moment, your foot sinks just a little farther than planned. Before you have time to consciously think, "I should adjust my balance," your muscles have already begun making tiny corrections. Your ankle becomes a little firmer. Your knee shifts ever so slightly. Your hips quietly follow. Within moments, your balance has returned. It almost feels like magic. In reality, countless hidden sensors have simply done what they have always done. They noticed, they reported, they adjusted, all before your conscious mind had even finished recognizing that anything unusual had happened. One of the simplest demonstrations of this hidden conversation happens in a doctor's office. Perhaps you have experienced it yourself. You sit comfortably on the examination table. Your legs hang freely. The doctor gently taps just below your kneecap with a small rubber hammer. Almost instantly, your lower leg swings forward. The movement happens so quickly that it almost feels automatic. Because it is. The doctor is not making your muscles move directly. Instead, that gentle tap briefly stretches one of the muscles in your thigh. Its tiny stretch sensors immediately notice the change. Before your brain even has time to carefully think about it, a rapid message quietly travels through your nervous system, encouraging the muscle to contract just enough to restore its original length. Scientists call this the stretch reflex. You might simply imagine it as one of your body's quickest acts of self-correction. a gentle reminder that your muscles are never simply waiting for instructions. They are already quietly participating in every movement. This remarkable partnership becomes even more beautiful when we consider how it changes through practice. Think of someone learning to dance. At first, every movement feels uncertain. Their feet hesitate, their balance wavers, their timing is imperfect. But little by little, thousands of tiny corrections quietly accumulate. Every practice session teaches the hidden sensors a little more. Every careful step becomes another gentle conversation between muscles, tendons, and brain. Eventually, movements that once demanded complete concentration begin to feel almost effortless. The same quiet transformation happens during yoga. A person slowly reaches into a gentle stretch. Nothing dramatic happens. There is no race, no sudden achievement. Instead, the body spends a few peaceful moments listening. The stretch sensors quietly report changing lengths. The force sensors gently monitor the pull. The brain patiently gathers every message before making tiny adjustments. With time, those conversations become clearer, not louder. Simply clearer. Climbing a rocky path offers another beautiful example. Each step asks a slightly different question. The surface changes. The angle shifts. The muscles quietly measure themselves again and again. Without these hidden observers, every uneven stone would become a guessing game. Instead, your body performs thousands of tiny calculations without asking you to solve even one of them consciously. Perhaps this is why experienced climbers, dancers, musicians, and craftspeople often describe a feeling of becoming one with their movements. It is not because they are thinking more, quite the opposite. Years of gentle practice have allowed these hidden conversations to become smoother, quieter, and more beautifully coordinated. The body begins trusting its own quiet wisdom. As you continue resting, your own muscles are still carrying on these peaceful conversations. Even if you remain completely still, they continue measuring, adjusting, listening, supporting. Like careful gardeners tending a living forest, they quietly nurture balance with thousands of tiny acts of care, each so small that it almost disappears on its own, yet together creating the remarkable ease with which you simply exist inside your body. And perhaps the easiest way to appreciate the quiet gift they provide is to imagine, just for a moment, what life might feel like if those gentle conversations suddenly fell silent, leaving the brain to search for a body whose familiar map had quietly faded away. There is an old saying that we rarely notice the things that work perfectly. We seldom think about the quiet rhythm of our heartbeat until it begins to race. We rarely notice our breathing until we climb a steep hill. And almost no one spends much time appreciating the hidden sense that tells us where our body is. Not because it is unimportant, but because it is wonderfully reliable. Like a trusted friend who has quietly walked beside you for so many years that you almost forget they are there. Perhaps the easiest way to understand this remarkable sense is to imagine what life would feel like without it. Close your eyes for just a moment in your imagination. Picture yourself standing comfortably in a familiar room. Now imagine that the invisible map inside your body slowly begins to fade. Your arms are still there. Your legs have not disappeared. Your muscles remain just as strong. And yet, something deeply familiar has quietly vanished. You no longer know exactly where your hands are unless you look directly at them. Your feet begin to feel strangely distant. Even the simple act of standing becomes uncertain, not because your body has forgotten how to move, but because it can no longer quietly tell itself where it is. For one remarkable man, this was not imagination. It became reality. His name was Ian Waterman. As a young adult, Ian developed a rare neurological illness that damaged the sensory pathways carrying information from much of his body to his brain. His muscles remained strong. His mind remained clear. He still wanted to walk, speak, and live as before. But the hidden map that had quietly guided every movement had almost disappeared. Imagine trying to write your name while wearing thick gloves that completely block your sense of touch. Now imagine trying to walk through your own home while every feeling of position has quietly vanished. That was much closer to Ian's daily experience. When he wished to lift an arm, he could still decide to move it. The muscles obeyed, but unless he watched the movement carefully with his eyes, he could not always tell where his arm had gone. It was as though his body had become a familiar landscape, hidden beneath dense morning fog. The roads were still there. The destinations had not changed. But the map had faded from view. Something as ordinary as standing became an extraordinary challenge. Most of us never realize that while we stand, our bodies are constantly making hundreds of tiny corrections every minute. Our ankles shift ever so slightly. Our knees soften. Our hips gently adjust. Our shoulders quietly settle. These movements are so small that we almost never notice them. They happen long before conscious thought has a chance to catch up. For Ian, many of these quiet adjustments were no longer automatic. Instead, he learned to replace one hidden sense with another. He watched his own body almost constantly. His eyes became the map that his nervous system could no longer provide. If he looked away, movement became uncertain. If the lights were turned off, standing could become almost impossible. It is a remarkable reminder that seeing and sensing are not the same thing. Your eyes can tell you where your hand appears to be, but normally, your body already knows. And it knows continuously, even when you blink, even in darkness, even while dreaming. Ian's determination was extraordinary. Through years of practice, patience, and persistence, he slowly taught himself to move again. Not because the hidden sense returned, it did not. Instead, he learned to build new habits, carefully watching every movement that most of us perform without a single thought. His story is not simply about loss. It is also about the astonishing adaptability of the human brain. When one quiet pathway grows silent, the brain often begins searching for another. It learns, it experiments, it patiently rewrites its own methods. Perhaps this gentle adaptability is one of the greatest quiet miracles of all. You may have experienced a much smaller glimpse of this yourself without realizing it. Think back to a time when someone had one drink too many at a celebration. Their speech may have become slower, their steps less steady. They reached for a glass but missed it by just a little. People often say that alcohol affects balance, and it does. But part of what changes is also this quiet sense of body awareness. The hidden conversations between muscles, balance, and brain become a little less clear. The body is still trying to measure itself. The brain is still trying to understand. But the conversation has become slightly blurred, almost like listening to a familiar melody through a wall. The notes are still there. They are simply harder to hear. Perhaps that is why people may sway gently, even while believing they are standing perfectly still. Their hidden map has become just a little less precise. Now imagine a cat quietly walking along the top of a narrow wooden fence. Its movements appear almost effortless. Each paw lands exactly where it should. Its body flows with remarkable grace. Its tail gently shifts to help maintain balance. Nothing seems hurried. Nothing appears forced. Cats possess an exceptionally refined sense of body awareness. Their muscles, joints, and balance systems work together with extraordinary precision. Of course, humans have our own remarkable abilities. We build cities, we paint, we play music, we write stories. But watching a cat move so effortlessly reminds us that nature has shaped different creatures to experience movement in beautifully different ways. The quiet conversation inside each body is unique, and yet, whether you are watching a cat cross a fence or simply reaching to turn the page of a book, the same gentle truth remains. Effortless movement is never truly effortless. It is supported by millions of tiny observations happening beneath awareness. Tiny stretch sensors, tiny force sensors, a hidden map quietly redrawing itself, a patient brain gently bringing every message together, all so that you rarely have to think about moving at all. Perhaps, after hearing Ian Waterman's story, you may find yourself appreciating these invisible gifts a little more. The next time you reach for a cup without looking, the next time you walk through your home in the dark, the next time you stretch comfortably beneath a blanket, you may remember that none of those moments are simple. They are quiet masterpieces of cooperation. And while your muscles patiently measure themselves, another hidden guide has also been working beside them all along. It does not ask where your hands are. Instead, it asks a different question. Which way is up? How is your head moving? And how does your body remain steady while the entire world quietly turns beneath your feet? Imagine standing quietly on the shore of a calm lake just before sunrise. The water is almost perfectly still. Only the faintest ripples move across its surface as a gentle breeze passes by. You take one slow step forward, then another. Without thinking about it, your body remains comfortably upright. Your head stays level. Your eyes continue watching the peaceful horizon. Nothing feels difficult. Nothing feels uncertain. Standing seems almost too ordinary to deserve much attention. And yet, beneath that ordinary moment, one of the most remarkable hidden senses in your entire body is quietly at work. Long before you consciously notice that you have taken a step, a tiny system deep inside your head has already measured the movement. It has noticed the gentle shift in direction. It has quietly compared your position to the pull of the earth beneath you. It has begun helping your muscles prepare for the next step before you even realize another one is coming. Scientists call this remarkable hidden ability the vestibular system. You might simply think of it as your inner balance system. It is the quiet navigator that helps you know which way is up, even when your eyes are closed. Unlike your sense of touch, which listens through your skin, or your sense of body position, which quietly follows your muscles and joints, this hidden guide lives deep inside your inner ears. At first, that may seem surprising. After all, we usually think of our ears as instruments for hearing. But tucked safely beside the structures that allow you to hear the world are other delicate structures devoted to something entirely different. Not sound, balance. Imagine holding a beautiful glass snow globe in your hands. Inside, tiny white flakes rest peacefully upon the bottom. Now imagine turning the globe very slowly. The little flakes drift gently before settling once again. Their quiet movement reveals that the globe has changed position. Deep within your inner ear are tiny structures that behave in a somewhat similar way. Instead of snowflakes, there are countless tiny crystals, so small that they are almost beyond imagination. They are not there by accident. They are faithful little companions, quietly helping your body notice gravity every moment of your life. When you gently tilt your head to one side, these tiny crystals shift almost imperceptibly. As they move, delicate sensors nearby quietly notice their motion. Almost instantly, small messages begin traveling toward the brain. Your head has tilted slightly. Your body is leaning a little. Gravity is pulling in this direction. Everything is happening exactly as expected. It is an astonishingly gentle conversation. No alarms, no urgency, only quiet observations shared with remarkable patience. Nearby are 3 graceful curved passages filled with fluid. You might imagine them as tiny winding streams hidden inside a peaceful cave. Whenever you turn your head, the fluid inside these little passages continues moving for a brief moment, almost like water inside a slowly turning bowl. Hidden sensors quietly notice that movement as well. Together, these delicate structures tell your brain something wonderfully simple. Not just where you are, but how you are moving. Turning left, turning right, looking upward, looking downward, nodding gently, shaking your head. Even the smallest movement becomes another quiet message. Perhaps this sounds like an enormous amount of work. In truth, it is. And yet you almost never notice any of it. Think about how many times you move your head during a single day. You glance toward a friend. You look up at the sky. You lower your eyes to read a page. You turn toward a familiar voice. Each movement is quietly measured. Each movement is gently understood. Each movement is smoothly coordinated with countless others. Your balance system never demands applause for its work. It simply continues, faithfully, patiently, moment after moment. Of course, your inner balance system does not work alone. It enjoys the company of old friends. The hidden map of your muscles quietly reports where your body is. Your eyes describe what lies around you. Your feet gently notice the ground beneath them. Together, these hidden senses compare their observations, like thoughtful travelers sharing stories around a warm evening fire. One quietly says, "The ground feels steady." Another gently adds, "The horizon remains level." A third softly reports, "The head has turned slightly." Your brain patiently gathers these quiet observations before creating one beautifully simple feeling. I am standing. It is such an ordinary sentence, yet it depends upon extraordinary cooperation. Imagine a captain guiding a peaceful sailing ship across calm water. The stars quietly reveal direction. The gentle wind speaks of changing weather. The waves softly describe the movement of the sea. No single clue is enough by itself. Only together do they guide the journey. Your brain quietly performs a very similar task every waking moment. It listens. It compares. It gently decides. Perhaps this explains why balance often feels invisible. When everything is working well, there is almost nothing to notice. The greatest hidden systems are often the quietest ones. You rarely celebrate the fact that you remained standing while reaching for a book. You probably never congratulate yourself for turning your head without falling over. Yet these ordinary moments depend upon millions of tiny adjustments taking place beneath awareness. There is another beautiful example, hidden within something many of us experience every evening. Imagine waking briefly during the night. The room is almost completely dark. Without turning on a light, you quietly sit up. You swing your feet toward the floor. You stand. Even before your eyes fully adjust to the darkness, your body already knows how to remain upright. Your hidden map quietly remembers the position of your limbs. Your balance system gently notices the pull of gravity. Your muscles begin making tiny adjustments before your first sleepy step. You may feel drowsy. You may still be half asleep, and yet your hidden senses continue their patient work with remarkable devotion. They never complain that it is too early. They never ask for a break. They simply continue watching over you. Perhaps there is something deeply comforting about realizing that even while your thoughts drift lazily between wakefulness and dreams, this silent navigator remains quietly awake. It notices every gentle turn of your head, every small shift in posture, every subtle change in direction, always helping, always listening, always guiding. And yet, for all its remarkable precision, there are rare moments when this peaceful conversation becomes slightly confused. Your eyes may tell one story. Your inner balance system may tell another. Neither one is trying to mislead you. Both are simply reporting what they honestly observe. Your brain, caught between these two quiet voices, patiently tries to understand them both. Sometimes it succeeds without difficulty, and sometimes, for a little while, the world may begin to feel as though it is gently moving beneath your feet, even when it is perfectly still. There are moments in life when everything seems perfectly ordinary. You sit comfortably in the passenger seat of a car. Outside the window, fields quietly drift past. Clouds move slowly across the sky. The road stretches peacefully toward the horizon. Nothing feels hurried. Nothing feels unusual. And yet, after a little while, an uncomfortable feeling begins to appear. Your stomach feels unsettled. Your head becomes strangely heavy. Perhaps you close your eyes for a moment, hoping the feeling will quietly fade away. Many people have experienced something like this. Some feel it while reading in a moving car. Others notice it aboard a gently rocking boat. Some experience it on long airplane journeys. Others simply become dizzy after spinning in circles for a few joyful moments as children. For a long time, these experiences seemed mysterious. Why should sitting quietly inside a comfortable car make someone feel unwell? The answer lies not in any one hidden sense, but in the quiet relationship between several of them. By now, you have already met some of these gentle companions. Your eyes quietly observe the world around you. Your hidden map follows the position of your body. Your inner balance system notices every tilt and every turn. Most of the time, they work together with remarkable harmony. They are like old friends who have traveled together for many years. Each sees the journey from a slightly different point of view, yet they almost always agree about where they are going. Imagine three close friends walking through a peaceful forest. One quietly watches the path ahead. Another pays careful attention to the gentle slope beneath their feet. The third listens to the wind moving through the trees. Each notices something different, and every so often, they pause to compare what they have discovered. Yes, they quietly agree. We are still walking uphill. Or perhaps, the path has become smoother. Together, they build a shared understanding of the journey. Your hidden senses behave in much the same way. Your eyes describe what they see. Your muscles quietly report how your body is moving. Your inner balance system gently notices every change in direction. Your brain patiently listens to every one of these quiet voices before creating a single, peaceful understanding of what is happening. Most of the time, the conversation is beautifully simple, but every now and then, those gentle voices begin telling different stories. Imagine sitting inside a parked train. Through the window, another train beside you slowly begins to move. For a brief moment, it may feel as though your own train has started moving instead. You may even prepare yourself for motion before realizing that you are perfectly still. Your eyes have offered one explanation. The rest of your hidden senses have quietly offered another. Your brain needs a moment to decide which story makes the most sense. Motion sickness follows a remarkably similar pattern. Imagine sitting inside a car while reading a favorite book. Your eyes remain fixed upon the quiet pages. From their point of view, very little seems to be changing. The words remain steady. The book hardly moves at all. Meanwhile, deep inside your inner ears, your balance system is quietly noticing every gentle turn, every small curve in the road, every rise and every dip. Your muscles and joints are also feeling these subtle movements. One hidden sense softly says, "We are moving." Another quietly replies, "Nothing appears to be moving." Neither one is wrong. Each is simply describing the world from its own perspective. Your brain now faces a gentle puzzle. Which story should it believe? For a short time, the conversation becomes uncertain. Scientists continue exploring every detail of why this disagreement can lead to nausea. But one thing is beautifully clear. Your brain dislikes uncertainty. Its greatest comfort comes when all of its hidden senses quietly agree. When they do not, it becomes cautious, not frightened, simply cautious. Perhaps this tells us something important about the way the brain experiences reality. It does not trust a single source of information. It patiently compares many quiet voices before deciding what is most likely to be true. You might imagine a peaceful committee gathered around a large wooden table. One member quietly speaks about vision. Another gently describes balance. Another reports the position of the muscles. Each contributes only part of the story. Only after everyone has spoken does the group quietly reach a decision. Reality, in many ways, is built through this patient cooperation. Perhaps you have also experienced another curious sensation. You step off a gently rocking boat after spending several hours at sea. Even though you are now standing on solid ground, the world seems to continue moving for a little while. It almost feels as though invisible waves are still passing beneath your feet. Nothing around you is actually swaying. Instead, your hidden balance system is slowly adjusting to a new pattern. Like a sailor who has spent many days upon the ocean, your brain needs a little time to become familiar with stillness again. Elevators offer another quiet example. As the elevator begins moving upward, you may briefly feel a gentle heaviness. When it slows to a stop, your body notices another subtle change. These sensations usually last only a moment. Your hidden senses quickly compare their observations. Agreement quietly returns, and the feeling disappears almost as gently as it arrived. Sometimes, however, the experience becomes much stronger. Some people suddenly feel as though the entire room is spinning around them, even while they remain perfectly still. This experience is called vertigo. Unlike the brief confusion of motion sickness, vertigo often begins because the balance system itself is sending unusual signals. Imagine a compass that has briefly become confused by a nearby magnet. The compass has not forgotten how to point. It is simply receiving information that makes its task much more difficult. For someone experiencing vertigo, the world may seem to rotate, tilt, or drift in ways that are not really happening. It can feel deeply unsettling. Yet even here, the brain is not making a mistake on purpose. It is simply trying to understand the messages it has received, always interpreting, always comparing, always searching for the most reliable picture of reality. Perhaps this is one of the quiet lessons hidden inside these unusual experiences. Our senses are not competing with one another. They are cooperating. They are constantly checking one another's work with remarkable patience. Your eyes quietly ask, "Does this match what I see?" Your muscles gently wonder, "Does this match how I feel?" Your balance system softly adds, Does this match the pull of gravity? Together, they create something that feels wonderfully effortless. The simple experience of standing in a room, walking through a garden, watching rain fall outside a window, holding a warm cup while listening to distant thunder. None of these experiences belongs to a single hidden sense. Each is quietly woven together from countless gentle conversations happening all at once. And while these conversations help you understand the world around you, another hidden conversation has been unfolding, even closer to home. It does not begin with the movement of your head or the position of your feet. It begins with the steady rhythm of your own heartbeat, the gentle rise and fall of your breathing, the quiet feeling of hunger before a meal, the first small sip of water after thirst. There is an entire world hidden within you, patiently speaking in whispers every moment of your life, waiting to be noticed. So far, our journey has gently explored the senses that help you meet the world around you. Your skin quietly notices a warm blanket. Your muscles know where your hands are. Your balance system gently keeps you standing beneath the pull of gravity. Each hidden sense has acted like a faithful guide, helping you move comfortably through the outside world. But there is another world that is just as rich, a quieter world, one that exists entirely within you. Imagine walking through a large, peaceful house late at night. Every room is softly lit. Nothing feels hurried. Nothing demands your attention. Somewhere in the distance, an old clock quietly marks the passing of time. In another room, water gently flows through hidden pipes. A window is left slightly open, allowing cool night air to drift inside. The house is full of quiet activity, not because anything is wrong, simply because a well-loved home is always gently caring for itself. Your body is very much like that peaceful house. Even now, while you simply listen, your heart continues its steady rhythm. Your lungs welcome each slow breath before letting it quietly drift away. Your stomach patiently continues its work. Your liver, your kidneys, and countless other organs carry on their own gentle tasks, each one contributing to the remarkable balance that keeps you alive. Most of this happens so quietly that you rarely notice it, and perhaps that is exactly as it should be. Imagine if every heartbeat demanded your attention, if every small movement inside your stomach interrupted your thoughts, if every tiny adjustment made by your lungs arrived with the same urgency as a loud knock at the door. Peace would become almost impossible. Instead, your nervous system quietly performs another remarkable act of kindness. It listens constantly, but it speaks only when something truly deserves your attention. Scientists have given this hidden ability a name. They call it interoception. It may sound like a complicated word, but the idea behind it is beautifully simple. You might think of it as your quiet inner sense. It is the gentle awareness of everything happening inside your own body. Unlike your eyes, which look outward, or your skin, which listens to the world around you, this hidden sense patiently listens inward. It notices your heartbeat. It notices your breathing. It quietly follows the stretching of your stomach after a meal. It gently observes when your body begins asking for water. It quietly recognizes when your energy is beginning to fade. Perhaps one of the most remarkable things about this hidden sense is that it almost never speaks loudly. Instead, it whispers. Imagine receiving letters from distant friends. Some letters arrive every few minutes. Others come only once in a while. Most contain very ordinary news. Everything is going well. The garden is growing. The weather is comfortable today. Occasionally, however, a different letter arrives. We are running low on water. We could use a little more food. It may be time to rest. Your organs communicate with your brain in a surprisingly similar way. Not through words, of course, but through countless tiny signals that quietly travel along the nervous system. Each one carries only a small piece of information. Your stomach gently reports that it is becoming empty. Your heart quietly describes its rhythm. Your lungs mention how deeply you are breathing. Your body temperature softly tells whether you are comfortably warm or beginning to cool. None of these signals is dramatic. Each is simply another gentle update from the remarkable community living within you. If you have ever become so deeply absorbed in a book that you forgot to eat lunch until your stomach finally reminded you, then you have already experienced this quiet conversation. At first, the messages remained soft, almost invisible. Your brain gently set them aside, while your attention rested elsewhere. But little by little, the whispers grew clearer, not because the stomach suddenly began shouting, rather because the quiet need had slowly become important enough to notice. The same gentle process happens with thirst. Rarely does thirst appear all at once. Instead, it arrives gradually. Your mouth may feel just a little dry. Your body quietly begins asking for water. Only later does the feeling become strong enough to move into your awareness. In many ways, interoception is wonderfully patient. It gives your body time to respond before discomfort ever becomes severe. There is another fascinating quality to this hidden sense. It does not simply notice individual organs. It quietly combines countless small observations into one peaceful understanding. You do not consciously monitor every heartbeat separately. You simply feel calm. You do not calculate how full your stomach has become. You simply know you have eaten enough. You do not measure every tiny change in your breathing. You simply experience comfort. Once again, your brain is gently gathering countless quiet messages before creating one simple experience. Perhaps this reminds you of the orchestra we imagined near the beginning of our journey. No single instrument creates the music. Each contributes only one quiet note. Interoception follows the same gentle rhythm. Your heart contributes one note, your lungs another, your stomach another. Your body temperature quietly joins them. Together they create something much larger than any single signal could ever become. The feeling of being physically well. Of course, this quiet conversation does not continue unchanged forever. As the hours pass, your body is constantly making tiny adjustments. After a nourishing meal, your stomach grows quieter. On a warm afternoon, your body gently works to release heat. After a long walk, your breathing slowly settles back into its familiar rhythm. Every change is noticed, every adjustment quietly shared. It is almost as though your body is tending a peaceful garden. A little more water here, a little less sunlight there, a branch gently supported, a flower quietly cared for. No single adjustment transforms the garden, but together, they allow everything to flourish. Perhaps this explains why people sometimes describe a feeling of being in tune with themselves. Without realizing it, they may simply be listening a little more carefully to these quiet inner conversations, not forcing them, not analyzing them, only allowing them to be noticed. Even now, while you rest, thousands of gentle messages continue flowing inward. Most will never become conscious. And that is one of the quiet miracles of being alive. Your body never asks you to manage every detail. It simply keeps you informed whenever your gentle attention is truly needed. Among all of these quiet conversations, one stands apart from the others in a particularly beautiful way. Unlike your heartbeat, which quietly continues without asking your permission, or your stomach, which patiently carries on its work. There is one gentle rhythm that belongs to two worlds at once. It is always there. It never truly stops. Yet, whenever you choose, you can quietly join it. It rises. It falls. It accompanies every peaceful moment of your life. It is your breathing. Among all the hidden conversations taking place inside your body, breathing is wonderfully unique. Your heart quietly continues its steady rhythm, whether you notice it or not. Your stomach patiently carries on its work, without asking for your attention. Your liver, your kidneys, and countless other organs faithfully perform their quiet tasks in complete silence. Breathing belongs to that same quiet world, and yet it also belongs to yours. Even now, as you listen, your breathing continues without needing instructions. No reminder is necessary. No careful planning. Your body has already taken thousands of gentle breaths today, and it will continue taking thousands more while you sleep tonight. It is one of the oldest rhythms your body has ever known. Before you spoke your first word, before you took your first step, before your earliest memory quietly settled into your mind, you were already breathing. Perhaps that is why breathing feels so deeply familiar. It has accompanied every moment of your life. Like the gentle ticking of an old clock in a peaceful home, it is almost always present, even when you no longer notice its quiet sound. And yet breathing offers something extraordinary. Unlike almost every other hidden rhythm within you, it can gently step into your awareness whenever you invite it. Imagine standing beside a quiet river. The water continues flowing whether you watch it or not. You cannot stop the river from moving. You do not need to tell it where to go. It simply continues its peaceful journey. But whenever you choose, you may quietly sit beside its banks. You may watch the ripples. You may notice the reflections dancing upon the surface. The river has not changed. Only your attention has. Breathing is much the same. Most of the time, it quietly belongs to the automatic wisdom of your body. Scientists often describe this as the automatic nervous system. The name may sound technical, but its purpose is beautifully simple. It is the part of your nervous system that patiently looks after countless essential tasks without asking you to think about them. It quietly keeps your heart beating. It gently adjusts your digestion. It carefully regulates your body temperature, and, most of the time, it faithfully guides your breathing. You might imagine it as an experienced gardener, tending a vast and peaceful estate. Every flower receives water. Every tree is quietly cared for. Every path is gently maintained. The gardener never needs applause. The work simply continues, season after season. But breathing has another remarkable quality. Unlike the beating of your heart, you can gently decide to change its rhythm. You can take one slow breath, then another. You can pause for a brief, comfortable moment before allowing the next breath to arrive naturally. The remarkable thing is that your body welcomes this quiet partnership. It is almost as though two old friends meet upon the same path. One has been walking there all along. The other chooses to join for a little while. Neither takes control from the other. They simply continue together. Perhaps this is why breathing has become such a familiar companion in moments of quiet reflection, across so many cultures, and throughout so much of human history. When people wish to settle after a busy day, when they pause before speaking, when they sit beneath a tree, or simply rest beside an open window listening to rain, their attention often returns, quite naturally, to breathing. Not because breathing is magical, but because it is already there. It is the one quiet rhythm that patiently waits whenever your awareness chooses to return. There is another gentle traveler involved in this peaceful conversation. Scientists call it the vagus nerve. Its name comes from an old word meaning wandering, and that description feels rather fitting. Instead of imagining complicated anatomy, you might picture a long, quiet country road connecting many peaceful villages. Along this road travel countless gentle messages. Some come from your heart, some arrive from your lungs, others quietly journey from your stomach and other organs. Together they carry news from the body toward the brain, and gentle responses back again. The vagus nerve is one of the great messengers of this hidden conversation. It does not speak loudly. It does not rush. It simply carries countless quiet updates between the different parts of your body. When your breathing becomes slower and more relaxed, these conversations often become calmer as well. Your heart may gently slow. Your muscles may gradually soften. Your body may begin shifting toward a state of peaceful rest. This is not something you force to happen. It is something your body already understands. You are simply joining a rhythm that has existed all along. Perhaps you have noticed that during moments of worry or excitement, breathing often changes before you consciously realize it. The breaths may become shorter, a little quicker, a little shallower. Your body is quietly preparing itself for action. This is neither good nor bad. It is simply another example of your hidden senses working faithfully to protect you. Then, when the moment passes, breathing slowly finds its familiar rhythm once again. Like gentle waves settling after a passing boat, the water gradually becomes smooth. Perhaps this is why paying quiet attention to breathing can sometimes feel comforting. You are not forcing calmness into existence. You are simply giving yourself permission to notice the calm that your body has been patiently trying to return to all along. Every slow breath becomes another gentle reminder. You are here. You are safe. There is nothing you need to chase, nothing you need to solve before the next breath arrives. The body already knows what to do. It has known since the very beginning. As evening slowly turns toward night, breathing quietly becomes one of the first hidden rhythms to prepare the body for sleep. The breaths often become slower, a little deeper. The spaces between them gently lengthen. Your heart gradually follows. Your muscles release the small tensions collected throughout the day. Little by little, the entire body begins moving toward stillness, not because anyone gives it permission, but because countless hidden conversations are quietly guiding it there. Even while you dream, breathing will continue its faithful work. Your awareness may drift into distant places. You may wander through quiet forests, peaceful oceans, or star-filled skies created by your sleeping mind. Yet your breathing will remain beside you through every dream, patient, steady, reliable, like a lantern glowing softly outside a welcoming home. And perhaps there is something deeply reassuring in knowing that even when consciousness gently lets go for the night, your hidden senses continue their endless conversation. Your heart continues speaking. Your lungs continue answering. Your stomach quietly shares its own gentle updates. Your balance system rests patiently, waiting for morning. Together they maintain the quiet harmony that allows you to wake once again. But as remarkable as these hidden senses are on their own, something even more extraordinary begins to happen when the brain gently gathers every one of their quiet voices together. Somehow, from countless tiny whispers arriving from every corner of the body, the brain creates a single, seamless feeling. The simple and familiar feeling that this body is yours. Take a quiet moment to notice one of your hands. Perhaps it is resting comfortably beside you. Perhaps it is holding a blanket, resting on a pillow, or simply lying peacefully in your lap. Without thinking about it, You know something that feels completely obvious. This hand is yours. The feeling is so natural that it hardly seems like a question at all. Of course it is your hand. It always has been. But have you ever wondered how your brain knows that? Not where your hand is. We have already discovered the quiet hidden sense that patiently keeps track of its position. This is a different question. How does your brain know that this body belongs to you? Perhaps the answer is more remarkable than it first appears. Imagine sitting comfortably at a table. One of your hands rests quietly beneath the table, hidden from view. In its place, resting on the tabletop, is a very realistic artificial hand. It looks almost identical to your own. Someone begins gently brushing both hands at exactly the same time. The hidden real hand, the visible artificial one. Slowly, patiently, with matching movements. At first, nothing unusual happens. You know perfectly well which hand is real. But after a little while, something curious begins to change. Many people begin feeling as though the artificial hand somehow belongs to them. Not because they have forgotten where their real hand is. Not because they have become confused. Instead, their brain has quietly begun weaving together several different hidden senses. The eyes see a hand being touched. The hidden touch sensors report the same gentle rhythm. The quiet map of the body notices familiar timing. Little by little, those separate conversations begin telling a single story. Scientists call this remarkable experience the rubber hand illusion. The name sounds almost playful, yet it reveals something deeply important. The brain does not simply discover the body. Every moment, it quietly builds the feeling that the body is yours. Like a careful artist, adding one gentle brushstroke after another, the brain patiently combines sight, touch, movement, and body awareness into one seamless experience. Most of the time, this quiet construction is so perfect that we never notice it happening. Only when something unusual occurs do we glimpse the remarkable work taking place beneath awareness. Perhaps you might imagine returning home after a long journey. The house feels familiar. The furniture sits where you expect it to be. The light enters through familiar windows. Nothing seems surprising. Yet every morning, before anyone awakens, countless tiny details have quietly settled into place. The house feels like home, not because of one single object, but because everything gently belongs together. Your brain creates body ownership in much the same way. No single hidden sense is responsible. Instead, countless quiet observations agree with one another until the feeling of "this is me" naturally appears. There is another remarkable story that gently deepens this mystery. Some people lose an arm or a leg through illness or injury. And yet, even long afterward, many continue feeling as though the missing limb is still there. They may sense fingers that no longer exist. They may feel an itch they cannot scratch. Some even experience pain in a hand or foot that is no longer physically present. This experience is known as a phantom limb. At first, the idea almost sounds impossible. How can the brain feel something that is no longer there? Perhaps the answer is surprisingly gentle. The brain's map of the body does not disappear overnight. For years, sometimes decades, it has quietly expected messages from that familiar arm or leg. When those messages suddenly stop arriving, the map itself often remains. It continues waiting. It continues remembering. Sometimes those quiet expectations become sensations. Sometimes they even become pain. This is called phantom pain. The pain feels entirely real because, for the brain, the body map remains wonderfully real as well. Rather than teaching us that the brain is easily fooled, experiences like these reveal something far more compassionate. The brain is remarkably loyal. It does not abandon its familiar map simply because the world has changed. Instead, it patiently continues working with the information it has spent a lifetime learning. Over the years, doctors discovered another beautiful example of the brain's flexibility. Imagine placing a mirror upright beside a person's remaining arm. When they look into the mirror, the reflection creates the gentle appearance of two healthy arms resting side by side. As the real arm slowly opens and closes its hand, the mirror creates the peaceful illusion that the missing arm is moving as well. This simple idea became known as mirror therapy. For some people living with phantom pain, these quiet mirror movements help ease discomfort. The mirror does not restore the missing limb. Instead, it gently offers the brain a new conversation, a new pattern, a new possibility. Once again, we discover something quietly remarkable. The brain is always listening, always comparing, always learning. It is willing to update its understanding when new experiences arrive with patience and consistency. Perhaps this tells us something beautiful about being human. The feeling of living inside your body is not a fixed object hidden somewhere deep within the brain. It is more like a gentle tapestry that is continuously woven from countless delicate threads. One thread comes from touch, another from balance, another from your hidden sense of body position, another from the quiet rhythms of your heart and breathing, another from vision. No single thread creates the tapestry. Only together do they become the familiar feeling you have known for your entire life. I am here. This is my body. Perhaps that feeling seems so effortless, precisely because your brain has spent every moment since before your birth quietly practicing it. Every movement, every heartbeat, every gentle stretch, every careful step. Another thread added to the tapestry. Another quiet confirmation. Another peaceful reminder that this remarkable body is home. As your breathing continues its slow and comfortable rhythm, you might imagine this hidden tapestry gently glowing within you, woven from countless silent conversations that have never truly stopped. And yet, even this beautiful tapestry depends upon something deeper still. Somewhere inside the brain is an extraordinary map that has been quietly growing, changing, and reshaping itself since the very beginning of your life, patiently learning every movement you have ever made and every gentle skill you have ever acquired. Imagine watching a baby quietly discover the world for the very first time. There are no instructions, no guidebook, no one whispers exactly how to move a hand, how to stretch a leg, or how to reach toward a familiar face. Instead, everything begins with gentle exploration. A tiny hand slowly opens. Little fingers curl and uncurl without purpose. A foot drifts upward, almost by accident, until it gently bumps against another foot. A hand brushes a cheek. The surprise of that small touch becomes another quiet lesson. To an adult, these movements may seem random, but to the developing brain, every one of them is precious. Each movement quietly answers another question. Where is my hand? How far can my arm reach? What happens when my fingers close? What does it feel like when one part of my body touches another? Long before a child learns words, the brain has already begun building something extraordinary, a living map of the body. Unlike the maps we keep folded in books or displayed on screens, this one is never truly finished. It grows, it changes, it quietly redraws itself throughout an entire lifetime. You might imagine a traveler exploring a vast and beautiful landscape for the first time. At the beginning, only a few familiar paths have been drawn. A winding trail through a quiet forest, a small bridge crossing a peaceful stream, a gentle hill overlooking a valley. With every journey, another path appears. Another corner becomes familiar. The map slowly grows richer. Your brain builds its understanding of your body in much the same way. Every stretch, every step, every gentle reach, every playful movement. Another pathway is quietly added. Scientists have spent many years exploring this remarkable inner map. Eventually, they discovered that different parts of the body are represented in different areas of the brain. They gave this unusual picture a memorable name, the homunculus. The word may sound unfamiliar, but you do not need to remember it. Instead, simply imagine that your brain has carefully reserved different neighborhoods for different parts of your body. Some neighborhoods are surprisingly large, others are much smaller. The size of each neighborhood does not depend on how big that body part actually is. Instead, it reflects how much careful attention and detailed information that part provides. Your fingertips, for example, quietly send an astonishing amount of information. They explore texture, pressure, tiny vibrations, delicate movements. As a result, they occupy a surprisingly generous place upon the brain's map. Your lips are much the same. They notice the smallest changes in movement and touch. Meanwhile, other parts of the body require fewer detailed conversations, and their neighborhoods remain smaller. This is not a question of importance. Every part of the body matters. It is simply a reflection of how richly each part communicates with the brain. Perhaps this is why closing your eyes and finding the tip of your nose feels almost effortless, while locating the exact center of your back feels much less precise. Some neighborhoods simply contain more detail than others. The remarkable thing is that this map is not carved into stone. It is alive. It quietly changes throughout your life. Scientists call this wonderful ability neuroplasticity. The word sounds complex, but its meaning is beautifully gentle. Your brain remains capable of learning. It remains capable of adapting. It remains capable of quietly reshaping itself through experience. Imagine a gardener caring for a peaceful garden year after year. A narrow path that is walked every day gradually becomes smooth and familiar. Flowers that receive regular care quietly flourish. New branches gently grow toward the sunlight. Nothing changes overnight. Everything changes little by little. Your brain follows this same patient rhythm. The more often certain movements are practiced, the more familiar their pathways become. Consider a child learning to write. At first, every letter demands careful attention. The pencil feels unfamiliar. The lines wander. The movements are uncertain. Day after day, gentle practice continues. Slowly, almost invisibly, the brain redraws its map. The fingers begin moving with greater confidence. The hand becomes steadier. What once required enormous concentration gradually becomes almost effortless. The same quiet transformation happens when someone learns to play the piano. At first, each note feels like a separate puzzle. The fingers hesitate. The hands occasionally lose their place. The music pauses. Months pass, perhaps years. Without realizing it, the pianist's hidden body map has become richer. The fingertips move with remarkable precision. The hands seem to know where to go before conscious thought has fully arrived. The music begins flowing almost as naturally as breathing. A violinist experiences something similar. Tiny adjustments of the fingers, gentle changes in pressure, almost invisible movements of the wrist. Each quiet repetition strengthens the brain's living map. The performer is not simply training muscles. They are patiently teaching the brain to understand the body in greater detail. Even ordinary activities quietly shape this remarkable map. Learning to ride a bicycle, knitting a scarf, preparing a favorite meal, typing on a keyboard. Every familiar skill represents thousands of gentle conversations between the body and the brain. Each successful movement quietly reinforces the pathways that made it possible. Even mistakes become valuable teachers. A missed piano key, a dropped spoon, a stumble while learning to dance. None of these moments is wasted. Instead, they become another opportunity for the brain to redraw its map with slightly greater accuracy. Perhaps this is one of the most comforting discoveries in modern neuroscience. Your brain is not a finished machine. It is a living landscape, patiently changing, quietly adapting, always willing to learn something new. Even later in life, this remarkable flexibility never completely disappears. The pace may become gentler, learning may require a little more patience, but the quiet ability to reshape the map remains. Every new hobby, every unfamiliar path through a park, every graceful stretch, every careful movement. Another line added to the map, another constellation slowly appearing against the peaceful night sky. Perhaps, as you listen, your own brain is doing something very similar. Not dramatically, not all at once, simply strengthening quiet connections as familiar ideas gently settle into place. A hidden map becoming just a little clearer, a peaceful landscape becoming just a little richer. And somewhere within that ever-changing landscape, another remarkable ability is quietly taking shape. The brain is not only learning where your body is, it is also making gentle predictions about what your body will do next, quietly estimating effort before each movement begins, allowing every step, every reach, and every climb to feel surprisingly smooth. Imagine standing at the bottom of a familiar staircase. You have climbed these steps many times before. Nothing about them has changed. The stairs are the same height, the same number. The same quiet handrail rests beside them. One morning, after a peaceful night's sleep, you walk upward almost without noticing. Your legs move comfortably. Your breathing remains steady. The journey feels almost effortless. Now imagine returning to those very same stairs late in the evening after a long and busy day. The staircase has not changed, and yet somehow it feels different. Your legs feel a little heavier. Your breathing becomes just a little deeper. Each step quietly asks for a little more attention than it did before. What changed? The stairs remained exactly the same. The world around you remained almost unchanged. The greatest difference was quietly unfolding within you. Most people think of effort as something created entirely by muscles. Stronger muscles, less effort. Weaker muscles, more effort. There is certainly some truth in that. But the full story is much richer. Before you take even a single step, your brain has already begun making gentle predictions about the journey ahead. Not dramatic predictions, not perfect predictions. Only quiet estimates, based upon everything it has learned throughout your life. You might imagine an experienced traveler preparing for a familiar walk. Before leaving home, they glance outside. The sky is bright. The path is well known. The weather feels comfortable. Without realizing it, they already have a gentle sense of how the journey will unfold. Your brain quietly does something remarkably similar. Long before your muscles begin moving, it is already asking peaceful questions. How heavy might this object be? How far will we need to walk? How tired are the muscles today? How much energy should we quietly prepare? These gentle expectations become part of the feeling we simply call effort. Imagine lifting a familiar mug filled with warm tea. You have lifted countless cups before. Your hand naturally applies just enough force. Not too much, not too little. Now imagine someone quietly replaces the tea with an empty cup while you are not looking. When you lift it, your hand may rise a little more quickly than expected, not because your muscles have suddenly become stronger, but because your brain had already prepared for the weight it believed would be there. The opposite can happen as well. Imagine expecting an empty box. Instead, it contains several heavy books. For a brief moment, the box feels astonishingly heavy. Again, the surprise comes not only from the weight itself. It comes from the quiet prediction that gently missed its mark. This tells us something rather beautiful. The brain is not simply reacting to the world after events happen. It is constantly looking a little ahead, not far into the future, only a few quiet moments. Just enough to help movement feel smooth rather than hesitant. You might picture someone walking through a peaceful forest at dusk with a small lantern. The lantern does not illuminate the entire journey. It only lights the next few steps. That is enough. With each step forward, the light quietly moves as well. The brain's predictions are wonderfully similar. They do not know everything that will happen. They simply offer enough gentle guidance for the next movement. Most of the time, these quiet predictions are remarkably accurate. That is why ordinary life feels so wonderfully effortless. You reach for a door handle. You sit in a familiar chair. You step onto a favorite walking path. Again and again, the brain gently predicts what will happen next, and most of the time, those predictions quietly match reality. When they do, movement flows almost like water. You scarcely notice the extraordinary cooperation taking place beneath awareness. There is another feeling closely connected to effort. We call it fatigue. Fatigue is often treated as though it were an enemy, something to overcome, something to ignore, something to defeat. But perhaps fatigue deserves a little more kindness than that. Imagine spending an entire day tending a peaceful garden. You water flowers, trim branches, pull gentle weeds from the soil. As evening arrives, your arms become pleasantly tired. Your legs ask for rest. Your breathing becomes slower as you sit beneath the shade of a tree. Nothing has gone wrong. Your body is simply sharing honest information. It is quietly saying, "We have done enough for today." Fatigue is often one of the body's gentlest conversations. It is not merely the absence of energy. It is a quiet invitation to recover, to slow down, to allow tomorrow's strength to quietly grow. Of course, the feeling of effort is shaped by more than muscles alone. Expectation quietly plays its own part. Have you ever postponed a difficult task all day, imagining it would be exhausting, only to discover that it felt much easier once you finally began? Or perhaps the opposite has happened. A simple chore somehow felt surprisingly difficult because you believed you had very little energy left. The task itself did not change, but the quiet expectations surrounding it gently influenced how it felt. Scientists continue exploring exactly how expectation shapes effort, but one idea appears again and again. The brain does not wait passively for experience. It gently prepares for it. Like an orchestra conductor raising a hand before the first note is played, the brain quietly organizes countless small systems before movement even begins. Your breathing adjusts. Your heart prepares, your muscles become ready. Your hidden senses quietly awaken to the task ahead. Perhaps this explains why experienced athletes often appear so graceful. It is not simply that their muscles have become stronger. Years of practice have allowed the brain's quiet predictions to become richer, calmer, and more accurate. The body no longer needs to hesitate. The conversation has become beautifully familiar. Yet this same quiet wisdom belongs not only to athletes, it belongs to anyone who has learned a favorite recipe by heart, anyone who has knitted a warm scarf, anyone who has played a simple melody on the piano, anyone who has walked the same peaceful path often enough that every step begins to feel like greeting an old friend. Each familiar movement reflects thousands of gentle predictions, quietly refined through experience. As you continue resting, perhaps you can appreciate that even now, your brain is making tiny predictions without asking for recognition. It quietly expects your next breath. It gently prepares for the small movement of your chest. It patiently follows the rhythm of your heartbeat. Moment by moment, these quiet expectations help transform countless hidden signals into one seamless experience of simply being alive. And perhaps the most remarkable prediction of all is this: every hidden sense we have explored has been quietly preparing your brain to understand a world that extends far beyond your own body. For while humans possess many extraordinary hidden senses, they are only one small chapter in a much larger story. Across forests, oceans, deserts, and open skies, countless other creatures quietly experience the same planet through senses so unfamiliar that they almost seem like gentle forms of magic. For most of our journey, we have quietly explored the hidden senses that shape the human experience. We have listened to the gentle conversations taking place beneath our skin. We have followed the quiet map that helps us know where our bodies are. We have discovered the silent rhythms of balance, breathing, warmth, and the peaceful awareness of the world within. It is easy to imagine that these remarkable senses are the complete story, but they are only one chapter. The earth has always been filled with countless different ways of sensing the very same world. Imagine standing in the middle of a peaceful meadow just before sunrise. The grass is still covered with tiny drops of dew. Birdsong slowly fills the morning air. A light breeze moves gently across the flowers. To you, it feels like one quiet landscape. But now imagine that several different creatures are standing beside you. Each one experiences a completely different morning. The world has not changed, only the senses through which it is quietly understood. High above you, a migrating bird begins another long journey. For thousands of years, people wondered how these birds could travel astonishing distances, crossing mountains, forests, and oceans, before returning to places they had never consciously seen before. Today, scientists believe that many birds possess a remarkable hidden ability that gently helps them sense the Earth's magnetic field. You might imagine it as a quiet inner compass. Not a compass made of metal or glass, not one that points with a moving needle. Instead, it is a gentle awareness of direction, quietly accompanying the bird wherever it flies. The bird does not stop to think, "North is over there." It simply follows a feeling that has become part of its experience of the world. Much like your own hidden sense of balance quietly helps you remain upright, this remarkable sense quietly helps guide long journeys across enormous distances. Now let your imagination drift from the open sky to the quiet depths of the ocean. Far below the surface, sunlight becomes softer, shapes grow dimmer. The water carries gentle currents in every direction. A shark moves silently through this peaceful underwater world. Its vision is certainly important. Its sense of smell is extraordinary, but it possesses another hidden ability that seems almost unbelievable. Every living creature produces tiny electrical signals. Your own heart creates them. Your muscles quietly create them whenever they move. These signals are incredibly small, far too subtle for human senses to notice. Yet some sharks possess special sensory organs that can quietly detect these delicate electrical patterns. You might imagine the ocean filled with faint lanterns glowing beneath the water, invisible to us, perfectly visible to the shark's remarkable hidden sense. Even in darkness, even beneath cloudy water, these gentle signals help reveal the presence of nearby animals. The shark is not seeing electricity as bright flashes of light. It is simply experiencing another quiet layer of the world that remains completely hidden from human awareness. Now let us leave the ocean and wander into the warmth of a quiet desert evening. The sun has almost disappeared below the horizon. The air has become comfortably cool. A snake slowly glides across the sand. To human eyes, the landscape grows darker with every passing moment. Yet for certain snakes, another picture quietly begins to appear. Hidden sensory organs. Near the face, gently notice warmth itself. Not light, not color, simply warmth. You might picture someone walking through a dark room while quietly noticing the comforting warmth of a fireplace before seeing its gentle glow. That warmth becomes another way of understanding the world. A small animal resting nearby quietly shines against the cooler surroundings, not because it is glowing, but because every living body carries warmth within it. The same landscape, a completely different experience. Nearby, a dog lowers its nose toward the ground. To us, the path ahead may seem almost empty, a little grass, a few stones, perhaps the faint scent of rain. But for a dog, the world is astonishingly rich with invisible stories. Every passing person has quietly left behind a trail. Every animal has written another chapter. Every breeze carries countless messages drifting through the air. Imagine walking into a vast library where every book is open at once. The shelves stretch endlessly in every direction. Each page tells another story. That is something like the world of scent a dog quietly explores every day. It is not simply smelling more strongly than we do. It is discovering details that our own senses never even realize exist. As night gently settles over the landscape, another remarkable traveler begins to move. A bat leaves the quiet shelter of its cave. The darkness around it seems almost complete. To human eyes, the night offers very little information, yet the bat moves with extraordinary confidence. Rather than depending mainly upon sight, it softly releases tiny sounds into the darkness. Moments later, delicate echoes quietly return. The bat gently listens to these returning echoes, allowing it to build a rich picture of nearby trees, open spaces, insects, and branches. You might imagine standing in a great valley and softly calling out. A moment later, your own voice returns as a peaceful echo from distant hills. The bat experiences something wonderfully similar, although with astonishing speed and precision. Its world is gently shaped by echoes instead of light. Perhaps the most beautiful lesson hidden within all of these remarkable creatures is not that they possess stranger senses than we do. It is something quieter. No single creature experiences the complete world. Each experiences only the part that its senses quietly reveal. The bird lives within invisible directions. The shark quietly notices delicate electrical whispers. The snake gently follows warmth. The dog explores a vast landscape of scent. The bat listens to echoes dancing through the night. And you experience a world woven together by touch, balance, body awareness, breathing, warmth, movement, emotion, memory, and countless other hidden conversations that have quietly accompanied you throughout your entire life. Perhaps the world has never existed as one single picture waiting to be observed. Perhaps every living creature gently weaves its own version of reality from the quiet gifts its senses provide. And if every creature experiences a different world, another gentle question begins to appear. When you open your eyes each morning, are you truly seeing reality exactly as it is? Or are you experiencing the beautiful version that your own hidden senses have patiently created, moment by quiet moment, throughout your entire life? For thousands of years, people have looked at the world and quietly wondered a simple question: what is reality? At first, the answer seems almost obvious. Reality is simply what we see: the trees outside the window, the stars above us, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of rain, the steady ground beneath our feet. It all feels so immediate that we rarely stop to wonder how those experiences come to exist. But throughout our gentle journey together, another picture has slowly begun to appear. Your skin never truly experiences a blanket. It quietly notices tiny changes in pressure. Your ears never directly experience music. They gently notice delicate vibrations moving through the air. Your eyes do not immediately recognize a tree. They quietly receive patterns of light. Your hidden balance system does not know that you are standing in a peaceful room. It simply notices gravity, gentle movement, and the position of your head. Your stomach does not know the meaning of hunger. It quietly reports changing conditions within your body. One by one, every hidden sense contributes only a small piece of information. None of them understands the entire story. And yet somehow, from all of these tiny observations, your brain creates something wonderfully complete: the world. Perhaps it is a little like watching the first light of morning slowly enter a quiet room. At first, only a few gentle shapes begin to appear: the outline of a chair, the edge of a window, the soft folds of a blanket. Little by little, the room becomes clearer. Nothing inside the room has changed. Only the picture your eyes are quietly able to build. Your brain performs a remarkably similar act every waking moment, except instead of using only light, it gathers information from every hidden sense we have explored together. Touch quietly contributes its gentle observations. Warmth adds another quiet layer. Pain patiently stands watch for danger. Your hidden map of body position quietly follows every movement. Your balance system gently reports each turn of your head. Your breathing offers its slow rhythm. Your heartbeat quietly marks the passing of each moment. Your inner awareness softly shares news from deep within your body. Each hidden sense speaks only one quiet language. None speaks loudly. None demands attention. Yet together they create something astonishingly rich. Imagine listening to an orchestra before a performance begins. One musician gently tunes a violin. Another quietly tests a flute. A cellist softly adjusts a single string. Individually, these sounds seem unrelated, almost random. Then the conductor slowly raises a hand. The music begins. Suddenly, every instrument belongs together. A melody appears where only separate notes existed before. Your brain quietly performs a similar miracle. It patiently gathers thousands of separate signals before allowing them to become one seamless experience. The feeling that you are sitting comfortably in a familiar room. The feeling that you are listening. The feeling that you are here. Perhaps this also explains why two people can quietly experience the very same moment in different ways. Imagine two friends walking together through a peaceful garden. One immediately notices the flowers. Their attention lingers on delicate colors and gently unfolding petals. The other barely notices the flowers at all. Instead, they hear birds singing high among the trees. They pause to listen to every quiet note carried through the morning air. Neither person is wrong. Both are experiencing the same garden. And yet each brain quietly builds a slightly different version of that shared moment. Memory quietly joins the conversation as well. A familiar fragrance drifting through the air may remind one person of childhood summers. The very same fragrance may remind someone else of a favorite holiday many years later. The scent itself has not changed. The brain has simply woven it into a different story. Expectations quietly shape experience too. Earlier, we discovered that your brain gently prepares for movement before it begins. It quietly estimates effort before climbing a staircase. It prepares your hand before lifting a familiar cup. In much the same way, your brain is always making gentle guesses about the world around you. Not because it wishes to fool you, but because careful prediction helps life flow smoothly. Imagine walking through your own home late at night. The lights are off. Only faint moonlight enters through the windows. You reach toward a doorway. Before your fingertips ever touch the wall, your brain already has a quiet expectation of where the doorway should be. Most of the time, that expectation is beautifully accurate. You continue walking without hesitation. It is almost as though your brain is gently saying, "I believe the world will continue behaving as it usually does." Most of the time, it is right. Occasionally, something unexpected happens. A chair has been moved. A door has been left open. For a brief moment, your quiet prediction meets a different reality. Almost instantly, your brain gently updates its understanding. No frustration, no complaint, simply another quiet adjustment, like a traveler calmly correcting a map after discovering a newly built bridge. Perhaps this gentle process never truly ends. Moment after moment, breath after breath, your hidden senses continue gathering information. Your brain continues comparing it. It quietly adjusts, learns, refines, builds, not once during childhood, not only while learning new skills, every single day of your life. Perhaps that is why reality feels so wonderfully stable. Not because the world is simple, but because your hidden senses are astonishingly skilled at working together. Like countless tiny weavers sitting side by side before an enormous loom, each quietly contributes one delicate thread. One offers warmth, another offers movement, another offers balance, another offers the rhythm of your heart, another offers the rhythm of your heart, another offers movement, 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 another offers movement. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this quiet story is that none of these hidden senses ever asks to stand alone. They never compete for attention. They simply continue their patient work, gently supporting one another, quietly building each passing moment from countless tiny whispers that almost always remain unheard. As your breathing settles into its familiar rhythm once again, you may begin to notice that the question we started with has slowly changed. At first, we wondered how many senses a human being truly possesses. Now another answer begins to emerge. Perhaps the number itself has never been the most important part of the story. Perhaps what matters is the quiet harmony they create together, patiently weaving movement, balance, warmth, memory, emotion, awareness, and every gentle breath into the extraordinary experience of simply being you. When our journey first began, we started with a familiar idea. Perhaps, like many people, you had heard that human beings experience the world through 5 simple senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. It is a beautiful idea, simple, comforting, easy to remember. And yet, as we have quietly wandered together through the hidden landscape of the human body, another picture has slowly appeared. A richer picture, a quieter one that has been patiently waiting beneath the surface all along. We discovered that touch is not one single sense, but a gentle family of countless tiny listeners spread across your skin. Some quietly notice pressure, some softly recognize vibration, others patiently follow the stretching of your skin or the gentle movement of air across your fingertips. Together, they create the peaceful experience of reaching out into the world. We discovered another hidden conversation, quietly measuring warmth and coolness. Tiny messengers helping your body remain comfortable through changing seasons, warm blankets, cool evening air, and the gentle rhythm of night slowly replacing day. Then we met one of your oldest companions, pain, not as an enemy, not as a punishment, but as a faithful guardian. A quiet lighthouse standing watch whenever your body gently asks for protection. It speaks only because it cares. It reminds you that your remarkable body is worthy of kindness. As our journey continued, another mystery quietly unfolded. How does your body always know where it is, even in darkness? Even with your eyes gently closed, the answer arrived through another hidden sense. A quiet map patiently following every movement of your hands, your feet, your shoulders, and every gentle turn of your head. We looked even deeper, discovering the tiny stretch sensors and tiny force sensors quietly living inside every muscle. Faithful caretakers measuring every movement before you ever become aware of it. They never ask for recognition. They simply continue their patient work, moment after moment. Then we imagine something extraordinary. What life might feel like if that hidden map suddenly disappeared. Through Ian Waterman's remarkable story, we discovered that movements we usually consider effortless are, in truth, among the greatest quiet achievements of the human nervous system. Soon afterward, another hidden guide joined our journey, the peaceful balance system resting deep within your inner ears. Tiny crystals, gentle flowing fluid, a silent navigator, quietly helping you know which way is up, while the earth itself continues its endless turning beneath your feet. When that quiet conversation briefly disagrees with your eyes, the world may seem to sway, not because your senses have failed, but because they are patiently comparing different stories, quietly searching together for the most trustworthy understanding. Then our attention slowly turned inward, beyond the skin, beyond the muscles, beyond the pull of gravity. We entered the peaceful house within your own body, a place where your heart quietly keeps its steady rhythm, where your lungs patiently welcome every breath, where your stomach gently speaks of hunger, where thirst arrives not as a command, but as a soft invitation. We discovered that your body is always speaking, mostly in whispers, and your brain is always listening. Among all of those quiet rhythms, breathing revealed itself as something especially beautiful, a gentle bridge connecting two worlds, one world belonging to the quiet wisdom of your body, the other belonging to your own awareness. Without effort, your body breathes. With gentle attention, you may breathe alongside it, two old companions walking the same peaceful path. As we wandered farther, another remarkable mystery quietly emerged. How does your brain know that this body belongs to you? The answer was not hidden inside any single organ. Instead, it appeared within the gentle cooperation of many hidden senses: touch, movement, balance, vision, inner awareness. Together, they patiently wove the familiar feeling that this body is home. We discovered that even the brain's map of the body is never completely finished. Like a peaceful garden lovingly cared for through every season, it continues growing with every movement you make. Every new skill, every careful step, every familiar gesture. The map quietly reshapes itself throughout your life. Then we explored another hidden companion, the quiet sense of effort. Before you lift a cup, before you climb a staircase, before your next step even begins, your brain has already started preparing, making gentle predictions, lighting the next few moments like a lantern along a peaceful path. We then stepped beyond our own experience and quietly visited the remarkable sensory worlds of other creatures. Birds gently following invisible directions across enormous skies. Sharks quietly sensing delicate electrical whispers beneath the sea. Snakes patiently noticing warmth in the evening darkness. Dogs reading invisible stories carried upon the wind. Bats listening to echoes drifting through the night. Each creature living within its own beautiful version of the same earth. Finally, we gathered every quiet thread together. No hidden sense worked alone. Touch quietly spoke with balance. Balance quietly listened to movement. Movement gently joined breathing. Breathing quietly accompanied the heartbeat. Memory softly shaped perception. Expectation gently prepared each new experience. Every hidden conversation became part of a larger harmony. Perhaps this has been the quiet answer waiting beneath every chapter of our journey. At the beginning, we wondered how many senses a human being truly possesses. Now, perhaps the question itself feels a little different. The exact number no longer seems quite so important. Some scientists describe many hidden senses, others organize them in slightly different ways. But no list, however long, can fully capture the gentle cooperation taking place inside you every moment. Because none of these hidden senses understands the whole story. One quietly notices warmth, another patiently follows gravity, another gently measures stretching muscles, another carefully watches for danger, another listens to the rhythm of your breathing, another softly follows the quiet beat of your heart. Alone, each knows only a tiny piece. Together, they create something extraordinary. The feeling that you are here, the feeling that you belong within this body, the feeling of standing beneath the morning sky, listening to distant rain, holding the hand of someone you love, feeling the warmth of sunlight, or resting peacefully beneath a blanket as another quiet evening slowly becomes night. Perhaps that is the greatest miracle hidden within the human body. Not that it possesses so many remarkable senses, but that none of them ever asks to stand alone. Like countless stars scattered across the night sky, each shines with only a small light, yet together they become constellations. Like many gentle streams flowing toward the same peaceful river, each carries only a little water, yet together they become something wide enough to reflect the entire sky. Your hidden senses have always been quietly doing the same, weaving countless tiny whispers into one continuous experience. A life, a body, a mind, a self. And even now, as your thoughts become a little softer and your breathing settles into its own familiar rhythm, those quiet conversations continue without asking anything of you. Your heart keeps its gentle time. Your lungs welcome another peaceful breath. Your hidden maps patiently remain awake. Your balance quietly rests, ready for tomorrow. Every hidden sense faithfully carrying on its quiet work while you simply rest. There is nothing more you need to understand tonight. Nothing left to solve. Only the comforting thought that long after your attention drifts into sleep, countless gentle caretakers within you will continue their silent conversation, faithfully keeping you connected to the world, and just as quietly, keeping you connected to yourself.